So if you open up a browser right now and Google our subject for today, you're going to see two things almost immediately.
Right.
You'll see Grammy-winning rapper, and you'll see a date, March 31st, 2019,
The day he was murdered.
the day he was murdered.
Oh.
And it's kind of sad, really.
It is, because in the public consciousness, that tragedy, it often eclipses the biography.
Totally.
The headline just completely swallows the human being.
Exactly. And, if we just focused on the music or the crime scene, we'd basically be doing a standard true crime episode or maybe like a greatest hits review.
Sure, yeah.
But that is not the mission of this deep dive, not at all. We are looking at Nipsey Hussle, born Ermias Asghedom, as a very specific kind of case study. We aren't just talking about hip-hop here. We are talking about, radical entrepreneurship.
It really is. It's a masterclass in vertical integration, if you want to get technical about it.
Vertical integration. Explain that.
Well, most people don't realize that while Nipsey was rapping, he was actually building a circular economy in South Central Los Angeles.
A circular economy.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't just want to get rich out of the hood. His whole plan, his whole vision was to buy the hood so the wealth stayed there.
And that's the marathon concept we keep hearing about, right?
This is the one.
You see, the marathon continues everywhere. T-shirts, hashtags, the murals, all over the place. But it feels like for him it was, I don't know, it was more than just a marketing slogan.
Oh, it was a business strategy, a deeply counterintuitive business strategy.
How so?
Well, think about the world we live in. It's obsessed with viral hits, right? 15 seconds of fame on TikTok, quick cash.
Get in, get out.
Exactly. Nipsey was playing a 10-year game, a game of endurance. He was betting on slow dimes over fast nickels.
Slow dives over fast nickels, I like that.
The whole premise is that you endure the struggle of the short term. You put in the work now to secure long-term sovereignty later.
And we are going to get into the nuts and bolts of that. Like, we really need to explain the economics of how you convince people to pay $100 for a mixtape they could just get for free.
It's genius when you break it down.
We'll get there. But first, we need to set the scene. We have to ground this in geography because you just cannot understand Nipsey Hussle without understanding the Crenshaw district.
No, it's impossible.
Specifically, that one intersection, Slauson and Crenshaw.
That intersection it's the stage for his entire life. It's almost Shakespearean, really.
How do you mean?
The duality of his existence played out right there on those corners. On one side, you have the D Street ties, the gang culture of the Rollin 60s.
Right.
On the other side, strictly business, a corporate vision. He wasn't trying to escape that neighborhood. He was actively trying to own the deed to it.
So let's start at the very beginning, the origins. Because even the name Nipsey Hussle tells a story, doesn't it?
It really does.
He was born Ermias Joseph Asghedom on August 15th, 1985. But he didn't give himself that nickname, did he?
No, and it's actually a bit of a throwback reference that I love. The name Nipsey Hussle is a play on Nipsey Russell.
Wait, Nipsey Russell?
Uh-huh.
The comedian, the guy from the game shows in the 70s with the little poem.
The very same. A childhood friend gave him the name.
Okay, that's wild.
But here is the interesting part. It wasn't because Ermias was, cracking jokes all the time.
So why then?
It was because the friend admired his work ethic. He was always on the grind. He was always hustling in the most literal, fundamental sense of the word.
And that hustle started early. I mean, we always hear rappers talk about the grind, but there is this one detail in the research about him shining shoes at age 11 that just, it hits different.
It's the sheer volume that's impressive.
Yeah.
At 11 years old, his goal wasn't just to shine a few pairs here and there. He set a quota for himself.
100 pairs a day?
100 pairs of shoes a day. He charged $2.50 a pair.
Okay, let me do the quick math here. That's $250 a day.
Good.
For an 11-year-old. In the mid-90s, that is serious money.
It is. But forget the money for a second. Think about the psychological discipline required to hit 100 transactions in a single day.
You're right. You have to handle rejection. You have to be charismatic.
You have to be fast. You have to manage your time. And he was doing all of this, according to the sources, to pay for his own school clothes.
Not for video games or candy. For necessity.
Exactly. It just foreshadows everything that comes later. He understood volume and he understood service from the jump.
It definitely sets the stage for that whole marathon mentality. But we also need to look at his heritage because that adds this really unique layer to his identity that a lot of his peers just didn't have. He was raised by his mother, Angelique Smith, who is African-American, and his father, Ermias Asghedom, who is Eritrean.
That bicultural background is absolutely essential to understanding him. His father came to Los Angeles from Eritrea back in the 1970s, fleeing conflict. So Nipsey was raised with this awareness of a bigger world, a world outside of South Central.
And there's a specific pivot point in his life that I think the material suggests it defined his future more than almost anything else.
Oh, absolutely. You're talking about the trip he took when he was 19.
Exactly. In 2004, when Nipsey was 19, his father took him and his brother Samuel.
Who everyone knows as Black Sam.
Right, Black Sam. He took them on a trip to Eritrea, and this wasn't, a week-long resort stay. They were there for 3 months.
3 months, can you imagine? As a teenager from South Central LA.
That's a lifetime. It's a massive culture shock.
It was, but in the most positive way imaginable. Nipsey explicitly credited this trip with sparking his entrepreneurial spirit.
So what did he see there that changed him?
Well, you have to understand, he was coming from a place where the narrative for young Black men was often very limited.
Yeah.
Gangs, sports, or music. That was kind of it.
The typical paths out.
Right. Then he goes to Eritrea, and he sees people who look just like him running the government, running the banks, owning the businesses, patrolling the streets as police. He saw complete self-determination.
That breaks the conditioning, doesn't it?
Completely. He saw Black autonomy in action. He saw a community structure that wasn't based on oppression or reacting to an outside force. He came back to LA with totally different wiring.
The perspective shift must have been huge.
He realized, wait a minute, we don't just have to survive the hood, we can organize it, we can own it.
But he came back to a very specific and a very harsh reality in LA. We have to be real about the environment he was in.
Oh, yeah.
At age 14, this was before the trip, he had left home and joined the Rollin 60s Neighborhood Crips. That was his reality.
He was.
But even while he was in that life, the records show he was exploring other avenues. He was always looking for another hustle.
Right, and this is the duality we were talking about. In 2002, at age 17, he joined a group called Buttervision.
Buttervision? What was that?
It was described as a creative, multimedia, digital guerrilla movement. He was involved in making DVDs, stuff like Beats and Babes, Vol. 1.
Which, titles aside,
Right.
It shows he was already thinking about product, about media.
Exactly. He wasn't just thinking about rapping a verse. He was thinking about the whole package. Production, distribution, the physical media itself. And that's when he recorded his first mixtape, Slauson Boy Volume 1.
And the context of how he sold that music is just iconic. He was selling these mixtapes out of the trunk of his car.
At a strip mall.
At the intersection of Slauson and Crenshaw, the very same strip mall that plays such a huge role later in the story.
I mean, you couldn't write a better narrative arc. Standing in a parking lot, selling CDs out of a trunk, probably getting shooed away by security or police.
For sure.
To eventually buying the concrete underneath your feet so that nobody can ever move you again.
That's the whole story right there.
Yeah.
So let's move into that business evolution. Because Nipsey, he defied the industry norms from pretty early on. He did the major label thing for a hot minute, right?
He did. He signed to Epic Records, and he had some real momentum, The Bullets Ain't Got No Name tape series had built up a serious regional buzz.
He was getting known.
Yeah, he collaborated with Drake on a song called Killer way back in 2009. He was on Snoop Dogg's album, Malice in Wonderland.
And he got that XXL cover.
That's right. XXL Magazine even named him one of their freshman top 10 in 2010. They labeled him Most Determined.
Most Determined. Wow. That feels almost prophetic looking back.
It really does.
But then the classic industry story happened. Epic Records experienced financial issues in 2010.
And, usually when a label has money trouble, the artists get stuck in limbo, you get shelved.
You can't release music, but you can't leave either. It's career purgatory.
It kills careers. It's happened to so many great artists.
So what did Nipsey do?
He didn't wait around. He didn't let them decide his fate. He opted not to renew his contract. He just walked away.
And that's the birth of All Money In.
That's where he founded his own record label, All Money In.
All Money In. No middleman. But I mean, going independent is scary. It's gotta be. You lose that big machine behind you, the radio pluggers, the marketing budget.
Everything. It is scary, but Nipsey turned it into a strength. He actually refused to sign major deals later on.
Really?
Yeah, even when big names came calling. The sources mentioned Rick Ross's Maybach Music Group wanted to sign him.
And he said no.
He said no.
Yeah.
He realized that ownership was more important than a quick check. He understood that if you sign a standard record deal, you are essentially an employee of the label.
You're working for them.
You are. If you own the label, you're the boss. He wanted the equity. He wanted to own his masters.
And this entire philosophy, this entire strategy, it all culminated in what I think is his most famous business move.
Oh, yeah?
The Crenshaw mixtape in 2013. I really want to spend some time here because this is where the marathon genius just really shines.
This is the proud to pay concept.
Yeah.
We have to look at the context of the time. 2013, this is the peak of the Napster aftermath.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Streaming is just starting to figure itself out, but piracy is everywhere.
Mm.
People are barely willing to pay 99 cents for a song on iTunes, let alone a whole album.
Music had been completely devalued. It was just expected to be free.
Exactly. The perceived value was zero. So Nipsey Hussle, an independent artist, decides to drop a mixtape called Crenshaw, and he releases it as a free download on DatPiff.
So anyone on Earth could get it for $0, no barrier to entry.
Yes, but, and this is the big, but he also manufactured 1,000 physical hard copies.
Yeah.
And he put a price tag on them.
$100.
$100 each.
Okay, I have to stop you here. $100 for a CD in 2013.
I know.
That sounds like economic suicide. I mean, why would anyone on Earth pay that when they can literally click a download button for free?
That's the genius of it. That's the entire play. On paper, it's insane. But you have to look at the psychology. He was weaponizing scarcity.
Weaponizing scarcity? How?
He wasn't just selling a CD with audio files on it. He was selling a collector's item. He was selling a badge of honor. He called the campaign Proud to Pay.
Proud to pay?
He was challenging his core listeners. He was saying, if you say you support the hustle, if you say you believe in this movement, put a price on your loyalty. Show me.
It's almost like a modern-day Patreon before Patreon really existed. He was asking for direct patronage from his most dedicated fans.
That's a perfect way to put it. He realized he didn't need a million casual fans who kind of liked his song on the radio. He needed a small army of superfans who believed in the entire mission. It filters the audience down to the true believers.
And he got a massive cosign from, well, arguably the biggest businessman in hip-hop history.
Jay-Z. The story is that Jay-Z heard about the strategy. He didn't just tweet about it or give him a shout-out.
No.
He respected the audacity of it so much that he personally contacted Nipsey's team and bought 100 copies.
Let me do the math on that one more time. That's a $10,000 transaction.
From one person. Nipsey met up with him, gave him the discs.
But think about the ripple effect of that. The headline wasn't just Nipsey makes $10K. The headline was Jay-Z validates Nipsey Hussle's business mind. The marketing value of that one transaction had to be worth millions.
Absolutely priceless. It legitimized the entire experiment.
And what was the end result?
He sold out. All 1,000 copies.
How long did it take?
Less than 24 hours. He made $100,000 cash instantly as an independent artist.
Wow.
No distribution fees, no label taking 80% of the pie, just him and his team. Pure profit.
That completely flips the entire industry script. It proves you can exist outside the system if your product has enough perceived value with a core audience.
Exactly. And he proved it wasn't a fluke. The very next year, for his mixtape mailbox money,
Yeah.
he sold copies for $1,000 each.
$1,000.
$1,000.
Okay, now that is just flexing. But he didn't just, keep that money under his mattress or buy a fleet of Lamborghinis. He invested it.
Back into the neighborhood.
Back into the block. Let's talk about the Marathon clothing store.
This is the physical manifestation of his entire brand. In June of 2017, he opened the Marathon clothing store.
And of course, he didn't open it on Melrose or in Beverly Hills.
Of course not. He opened it at Slauson and Crenshaw.
Right, back where he was selling tapes out of the trunk of his car. The full circle.
The exact same spot. He founded it with his brother Black Sam and his business partners Karen Civil and Steve Carless. But I want to dig into this smart store idea because that term gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah. Smart store usually just means they have an iPad at the register or like free Wi-Fi. Was it just a gimmick?
Yo, this was way, way deeper. Nipsey collaborated with a brilliant software engineer named Idris Sandhu.
Idris Sandhu.
Their goal was to bridge the gap between street culture and Silicon Valley, to merge the physical and the digital.
So what did they actually do? How did it work?
They embedded technology into the physical tags of the clothing.
So on price tag or the label.
Yeah. So if you bought a shirt, you weren't just buying a piece of cotton. You had to use a specific app on your phone to scan the tag, and that action unlocked exclusive content.
What kind of content?
Music, videos, behind-the-scenes footage, things that you couldn't get on YouTube or Spotify or anywhere else.
So the shirt is literally a physical key to a digital world.
Precisely. Nipsey called it his urban Sanrio concept. But think about the data play here. This is the really brilliant part.
Okay.
He's not relying on Instagram's algorithm to reach his fans anymore, is he?
No.
He owns the app. He owns the data. He knows
Right.
exactly who bought the shirt, where they are, and how to contact them directly. He was building a direct pipeline to his consumer that couldn't be shut off by a third-party platform.
That is incredibly forward-thinking. And then came the ultimate power move the year before his death.
The real estate play.
He partnered with a real estate investor named David Gross to actually buy the whole strip mall where the store was located.
He became the landlord. He didn't just lease the storefront. He bought the land.
And why is that distinction so important? Why not just keep leasing it? It's cheaper.
Because usually, when a neighborhood like Crenshaw gets revitalized, what happens?
Gentrification.
Gentrification 101. Outside developers come in. They see cheap land, they buy it all up, they jack up the rents, they put in a fancy coffee shop and a yoga studio.
And they push the original residents and businesses out.
Exactly. The people who live there through all the hard times don't get to enjoy the good times. They get priced out.
So Nipsey was trying to flip that.
Completely. He called it buying back the block. It's defensive development. He wanted to upgrade the neighborhood, put in new buildings, better food options, residential units, but he wanted to do it for the people who were already living there.
For the community.
He wanted to prove you can have nice things, SCEM centers, smart stores, without displacing the culture that built the place in the first place.
That is the literal definition of community sovereignty. Now, amidst all of this business, all this strategy, we can't forget the music.
No.
Because the music was the engine that drove the whole car.
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
The music was the marketing for the entire movement.
Yeah.
We mentioned the Bullets Ain't Got No Name series. That built the foundation. Then came the marathon, and the marathon continues mixtapes. That's where he was establishing that very clear brand identity.
And he wasn't working in a vacuum. He was collaborating with everyone.
All the time. We talked about Drake and Snoop, but he also had a very, very significant collaboration in 2016 with YG.
Oh, you mean the song FDT?
FDT, or, to be explicit, fuck Donald Trump.
Not a lot of ambiguity in that title. It became a protest anthem almost overnight.
It did. But the context in the source material is important here. It wasn't just like a political stunt to get views or to be controversial.
Yeah.
The song was written about Nipsey's positive experiences with Mexican immigrants in Los Angeles. He felt that the rhetoric coming from the Trump campaign about immigrants was fundamentally wrong, based on what he saw with his own eyes in his own neighborhood every single day.
It was a solidarity track. It was about black and brown unity.
Exactly. And that unity was a theme he kept pushing over and over. And then, after all those mixtapes, all those years of building, we finally got the official debut album, Victory Lap.
The wait for Victory Lap was a saga in itself. I mean, he had been teasing it for years. Fans were getting really impatient.
They were. But he waited until February 2018 to release it for a reason. He wanted to make sure all the infrastructure was right.
So what was the deal? Did he sign with a major again?
He entered a partnership with Atlantic Records, but it wasn't a standard new artist deal because he had all that leverage from his independent success from the $100 mixtapes.
He had proof of concept.
He had proof of concept. So he negotiated a partnership where he maintained a level of control and ownership that new artists, frankly, never get.
And was it worth the wait, musically?
Oh, absolutely. It debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200. It sold 53,000 units in the first week, which is huge for a debut. But critically, it was universally acclaimed. It was nominated for Best Rap Album at the Grammys.
He lost to Cardi B's Invasion of Privacy that year, right?
He did, but just being in that conversation as an independent-minded artist, standing on that stage, it was a victory in itself. It validated the entire marathon strategy.
And sadly, the accolades, the big awards, they continued to grow after he passed.
Yeah. Racks in the Middle with Roddy Ricch and Hit Boy won a Grammy for Best Rap Performance in 2020.
And Higher. That incredible track with DJ Khaled and John Legend.
That one for Best Melodic Rap Performance. That Higher video is just, it's tough to watch now.
It is.
It was filmed just days before his death. He's wearing that bright blue suit, standing on top of a parking structure in Inglewood, looking like he's on top of the world.
Because he was.
He was.
And this connects directly to his activism. He wasn't just rapping about success. He was actively trying to create a pipeline for other people to be successful.
Right.
You mentioned the Smart Store, but there was also Vector 90.
Vector 90 is, I think, arguably one of his most important contributions, even if it gets less press than the music or the store.
What was it exactly?
It's a co-working space and a STEM center right in the Crenshaw district.
Mhm.
Nipsey saw this massive disconnect. You have Silicon Valley up in Northern California generating trillions of dollars in wealth.
Right.
And then you have inner-city kids in L.A. who are brilliant, who are smart, but they have zero access to that world. They don't even know it exists as an option for them.
So Vector 90 was designed to be the bridge.
Exactly. It provided classes in science, technology, engineering, and math. It was a place where local entrepreneurs could come and work, get mentorship. He wanted to show young people that there were other paths out of the hood besides just sports and entertainment.
He wanted to create the next generation of coders.
The next generation of coders and engineers and founders right there on the block.
He was also involved in another big project, Destination Crenshaw, right?
Yes, that's the open-air museum project. As the Metro K line was being built through the district, there was a real fear that it would just bulldoze the local culture, literally and figuratively.
So he got involved.
He was involved in the planning and advisory stages. He used his influence to help brand the project and ensure that it would showcase Black history and culture, turning the transit line into a destination in its own right, rather than just a way to pass through the neighborhood.
But perhaps the most dangerous work he was doing, and I use that word intentionally, was the peacemaking.
It is dangerous work, no question. I mean, Nipsey was affiliated with the Rollin 60s, a Crip set. That was his background.
Right.
But he openly collaborated with and was friends with Bloods-affiliated rappers like YG. He was constantly trying to set an example of unity. He was trying to break the cycle of retaliatory violence that had plagued the city for decades.
And this leads us to a detail that is it's gut-wrenching to read about. The meeting.
This is one of those what-if moments that just haunts you. Nipsey had reached out to the LAPD.
To the police.
To the police. He had a meeting scheduled with the police commissioner and with representatives from Roc Nation.
And what was the agenda?
The agenda was to discuss ways to prevent gang violence. They were going to sit down and talk about real, tangible solutions.
When was that meeting supposed to happen?
The meeting was scheduled for April 1st, 2019.
One day after he was killed.
One day later. He was literally killed on the eve of a major step toward the very peace he was trying to build.
So we have to talk about that day, March 31st, 2019. It's a Sunday.
It was a Sunday afternoon. And Nipsey was at the Marathon clothing store. This is important. He was there without heavy security.
Why?
He often moved around the neighborhood without a massive entourage because he felt safe there. It was his home. He was taking pictures with fans, talking to people in the parking lot, just being part of the community.
And then at 3:18 p.m., everything changed.
A man named Eric Holder approached him. Holder was 29 years old. He was an acquaintance of Nipsey's and also from the Rollin 60s.
So this wasn't a random robbery.
No.
And it wasn't a rival gang hit in the traditional sense of like a drive-by.
No, not at all. It was personal.
Yeah.
Extremely personal.
What was the motive? What happened?
Testimony at the trial revealed that they had an argument earlier in the day. Nipsey had apparently told Holder that there was talk on the streets about him snitching, about him cooperating with law enforcement.
And in that culture, that is the most serious accusation you can make.
It ruined your reputation instantly. It's a death sentence, socially. Holder didn't take it as, a friend giving him a heads up. He took it as disrespect.
And what did he do?
He left the parking lot. He went and retrieved 2 handguns. And he came back.
He came back. That's the key.
That's the key to the whole case. He fired at least 10 shots. Nipsey was hit multiple times. And the brutality of it. Holder then kicked him in the head before he fled the scene.
And 2 other people were wounded.
In the crossfire, yes.
Nipsey was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late.
He was pronounced dead at 3:55 p.m. He was only 33 years old.
33.
Think about everything we just discussed. The store, the real estate, the STEM center, the Grammy-nominated album.
Yeah.
He did all of that by 33.
The aftermath of that day.
Yeah.
The shockwave was just instant. But justice moves a lot slower. They caught Holder pretty quickly, though, right?
They did. He was arrested on April 2nd. But the legal process was agonizingly slow, partly because of all the pandemic delays. The trial didn't really get underway until mid-2022.
And the defense tried to argue that it wasn't premeditated. That seems like a stretch.
Right. The defense used a heat of passion argument. They claimed Holder just snapped because of the snitching accusation, that he was so provoked he couldn't control himself.
But he left and came back with guns?
That was the prosecution's entire case.
Yeah.
The deputy DA, John McKinney, he argued, he thought about it, and he did it. They pointed out that Holder left the scene, had time to cool off, went and got weapons, and made the conscious choice to return and kill. That is the literal definition of premeditation.
And the jury agreed with that.
They did. On July 6, 2022, Eric Holder was found guilty of first-degree murder. He was also convicted of attempted voluntary manslaughter for the 2 bystanders who were wounded.
And the sentence.
On February 22, 2023, he was sentenced to 60 years to life in prison.
So he'll never get out.
Effectively, he will die in prison.
It's justice, technically. But it doesn't bring Nipsey back. And it doesn't undo the loss to the community.
Not even close.
But looking at the response to his death, it showed just how much he truly meant. This wasn't just another celebrity death.
No, it was a cultural event, a seismic event. The response was unprecedented for a rapper of his generation.
The memorial service was at the Staples Center.
The Staples Center.
Huh?
The arena where the Lakers play, they gave away free tickets to the public and they were gone instantly.
And the procession, that's the image that just sticks with me.
A 25.5-mile funeral procession. It wound all through South Central, Watts, all the places Nipsey grew up or had influence.
And people just lined the streets.
Crowds lined the streets for miles. It wasn't just fans, it was families, grandmothers, gang members from different sets. The Nation of Islam provided security for the procession. It was just this massive, citywide display of love and respect.
And former President Obama sent a letter that was read at the service. That's a whole other level.
That was a powerful moment. Obama wrote that while most folks looked at a neighborhood like Crenshaw and saw only gangs, bullets, and despair, Nipsey saw potential. He saw hope. That validation from the highest level of government, it really cemented Nipsey's status as more than just an entertainer. He was being recognized as a true civic leader.
And in a tragic twist of fate, his death actually seemed to accelerate the very peace he was working toward.
This is the silver lining, if you could even call it that. In the days after he was killed, gang leaders from rival sets groups that had been killing each other for decades, they marched together in his honor.
There was a ceasefire.
Real ceasefire. Hundreds of gangs from LA and Compton reportedly agreed to a peace agreement, very similar to the famous 1992 truces that happened after the Rodney King riots. They agreed to stay out of each other's territory and stop the retaliatory attacks.
It took a tragedy of this magnitude to shake the foundation enough to make that happen.
It did.
And the city, the institutions, they honored him officially too.
Oh yeah. They renamed the intersection of Slauson and Crenshaw. It's now officially Ermias Nipsey Hussle Asghedom Square.
That's incredible.
The new Metro K-Line station at Hyde Park was dedicated to him and the community in August 2022. And on what would have been his 37th birthday, he received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Culturally, his impact just kept expanding after he was gone. The murals, they're everywhere in LA.
Over 50 murals went up in Los Angeles. Within just a few months, he became this saint-like figure on the walls of the city. You really can't drive through South Central without seeing his face.
But the impact went deeper than just paint on a wall. The Marathon Book Club is a great example of this.
I love this part. Tell me about the book clubs.
So Nipsey was an avid reader. He was constantly self-educating, and he would always mention books in his interviews. Business books like Contagious, cult classics like The Spook Who Sat by the Door, books by Black authors.
So he was leaving a syllabus.
He left a syllabus. And after he died, fans started forming these book clubs all over the country to read the books that Nipsey recommended. He made reading and self-education cool in a way that very few influencers are ever able to do. And we saw tributes in sports and music as well.
Constantly. Russell Westbrook, the NBA player and a fellow LA native, dedicated a historic 20-20-20 game, 20 points, 20 rebounds, 20 assists, to Nipsey.
And Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar, in his video for The Heart Part 5, used deepfake technology to morph his own face into Nipsey's while he was rapping about his legacy. It was a haunting, beautiful, and really powerful tribute.
Puma released the Marathon clothing collection that he had been working on.
They did, with all the proceeds going to his Neighborhood Nip Foundation to continue his work.
Even the TV show All American got involved, right?
They did, and the source material says Nipsey was actually scheduled to appear in the season 1 finale of that show, but he died before it could happen. So instead, the show wrote in a eulogy for him. They had characters wearing Marathon clothing, and they painted a huge mural specifically for the episode. It just showed how deeply embedded he was in the LA narrative, beyond just music.
It's just so clear that while the man is gone, the brand, and more importantly, the philosophy, is stronger than ever.
And that brings us right back to the core concept, the marathon. But we do have to acknowledge the physical reality of the situation now.
Which is what?
The Marathon clothing store. That smart store on the corner he fought so hard to own has remained closed and fenced off ever since his death. It's a memorial now, a landmark.
So what does this all mean? We've looked at the hustle, the music, the business, the community work, the tragedy. What's the final takeaway?
I think it means that Nipsey Hussle provided a blueprint, a tangible one. He showed that you don't have to leave your community to be successful. You can build in your community.
You don't have to escape.
You don't have to escape. You can own your masters.
Yeah.
You can integrate technology. You can bridge the gap between the streets and the boardroom.
He went from the Slauson boy selling mixtapes to a community icon. And he left a manual for economic independence that hip-hop and really anyone is still studying.
Exactly. The manual is there for anyone to pick up and read.
So before we wrap up, here's a final thought to leave you with. We've talked about the marathon. We talked about endurance. Nipsey's flagship store is physically closed. The doors are locked. Yet, his message is louder and more global now than it ever was when he was alive. It raises a really interesting question. How does a marathon continue when the runner is gone? It continues because he successfully passed the baton. The real question is, are you looking at your own community, your own block, your own neighborhood with the same kind of vision that Nipsey had? Are you seeing the despair, or are you, like him, seeing the potential in the pavement?
That is the challenge he left all of us.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Keep running your lap.